There was an idea called the Avengers Initiative.
Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. So what if I told you that there is a missing Avengers movie?
Someone didn't return a movie? I will shed their blood!
No. I mean an Avengers movie that should have come out between Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU. An Avengers movie that was supposed to give us a new team of Avengers assembled by Nick Fury to help take on an army of shape-shifting lizard people from an alternate dimension.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yes, but it was never made.
But why? Marvel always ends their phases with Avengers movie. So it has been, so it shall always be.
Well, Marvel's new way of handling phases and sagas is certainly different from what it's been before. The overall content has been pretty hit and miss, and the universe as a whole feels very disconnected. But I'm telling you, with a little reworking, Phase 4 could have been one of the best phases yet. Now, last week we made this video about how Secret Invasion should have been an Avengers movie instead of a low-budget Disney Plus series. But now, we're going to tell you in exacting detail how all of Phase 4 should have been about Secret Invasion, and why it could have been one of the greatest phases of the MCU. You see, one of the key things Phase 4 was missing were therefore connections. South Park's Trey Parker explains this best.
What I'm saying is that you come up with an idea and it's like, okay, this happens, right? And then this happens. No. It should be this happens, and therefore this happens.
So here's what should have happened with Phase 4 to give each project a feeling of consequence, and lead us to our next Avengers movie, which will be based on, like we said, Secret Invasion. Captain Marvel established that the Skrulls were refugees who'd been decimated by the Kree. They weren't villains like their comic book counterparts. But in another universe, maybe they are. I mean, this is the multiverse saga, so it's only fitting that we have a multiversal threat at the center of our new Avengers movie. In the movies and in the comics, the Skrulls are looking for a home. So what if in another universe we see a clan of Skrulls that have exhausted all their options? Their home planet was destroyed, and no other planet in any galaxy will have them because of racism against shape-shifting aliens. So this particular clan of Skrulls is journeying through space looking for a home when they detect a tear in space-time, a door to another universe. Our universe. In this fantasy world where we're running Marvel Studios, this scene will be the post-credit scene to Avengers Endgame, teasing the forthcoming multiverse saga, as well as giving consequence to the Avengers time traveling.
You mess with time, it tends to mess back.
You see, Marvel phases should feel like these epic adventures with storylines that are set up years in advance. But, as we'll talk about, these stories should always put the characters first. It's like what The Walking Dead did for years.
The Walking Dead?
Yeah, like The Walking Dead takes place during the zombie apocalypse with these epic stories and scenery, but the show always kept the characters first. Like, I watched every week to see what was happening with Daryl, not zombies. And that is why we are proud to have The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon as a sponsor for this video. This show is going to continue Daryl's journey, but moving to this new location of France is going to show us a corner of the Walking Dead universe that we never got to see before. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing this redneck learn some words in French. So the show is an epic journey, showing Daryl in a foreign land trying to find his way home. But because it's Daryl, he's trying to find home, while he's also going to be finding himself. New episodes are airing now, every Sunday on AMC and AMC+. Now, I subscribe to AMC+. It's a great way to watch shows that you just can't find anywhere else on streaming, such as another one of my favorites, Mad Men. So, to make sure that you're ready to watch the next chapter in Daryl's story, click our link in the description below. So Colton, what Phase 4 movie are we going to change first?
Okay, so the first film of Phase 4 is still going to be Black Widow and introduce us to Natasha's sister and newest Avenger, Yelena Belova.
Hi!
Right, and we'll use an OG Avenger like Black Widow to help usher in new blood like Yelena into the fold. The post-credit scene will still show Yelena visiting Natasha's grave, but instead of Valentina showing up to recruit Yelena and send her on a mission to kill Hawkeye, we'll instead see Nick Fury. Nick is there paying his respects to his most loyal soldier, Natasha Romanoff. This gives us the emotional goodbye between Fury and Natasha that we never got to see. Remember, they were very close.
Don't do this to me, Nick. Stand back.
And after some words about losing his best fighter and a good friend, we hear Fury say that maybe he should just throw in the towel. But he knows that he can't retire without leaving the world in capable hands, hinting that the Avengers need to reform because new threats are coming and they always will be. This is when Fury reveals that when the Avengers performed their time heist to save the universe, a door was left open. Remember, Black Widow died in an alternate timeline, in an alternate universe, so all this connects. Fury explains that the Avengers tampering with space-time opened a door that was never closed, and that some unsavory visitors have made their way through. And that is when Fury reveals that to stop what's coming, he'll need a widow by his side, someone he can trust. This would then kickstart the multiverse saga just like the Infinity Saga. Not only are we getting a Nick Fury recruitment cameo, but we're also revealing that the world just got a whole lot bigger. In the Iron Man post-credit scene, Fury told Stark,
Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe.
So naturally, we should hear Fury tell Yelena that she's become part of a bigger multiverse.
He said it!
He said it!
Okay, so prior to Black Widow, we actually got 3 Disney Plus series: WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki.
Right, well, at the end of WandaVision, it was teased that Nick Fury wanted to talk with Monica Rambeau.
I was sent by an old friend of your mother's.
And we know from trailers for the Marvels that Monica is in space with Fury, so that's what this scene was setting up.
He'd like to meet with you. Where?
So we'll keep that setup and use it to instead tease Monica's recruitment into this new team of Avengers. Next, we've got our new Captain America, Sam Wilson. Remember that Falcon and the Winter Soldier delved pretty deep into America's complicated history with race and what it meant for Sam to take on the mantle of Cap as a black man.
They will never let a black man be Captain America.
So I think it'd be very fitting to have another black man who worked his way to the top, Nick Fury, come in and recruit the Avengers' new leader. We'll get to hear Fury talk about all the leadership qualities that Steve Rogers held and tell Sam that he sees these same qualities in him. And then there's Loki.
Hi.
The first scene of the first Avengers film featured an encounter between Nick Fury and the God of Mischief.
Sir, please put down the spear.
So I think it'd be fitting to see Loki travel through a portal and arrive in the presence of Nick Fury just like in that first Avengers film. Except this time, he's not there to threaten the world, he's there to save it. Loki tells Fury about what's happened with He Who Remains and the destruction of the sacred timeline. Fury says in classic Fury fashion, "I know, let's get to work." Hey Colton, how we doing so far?
Well, our new roster is coming together nicely. We've got a Widow, a Captain America, a Norse god, and a super goddess who could kill them all like that. But we're not done yet. Next comes Shang-Chi.
And you know what? Let's not change anything about Shang-Chi's movie or the post-credit scene. He still meets up with Wong, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner, and they'll all come into play a little later in the video.
Okay, and what about the Eternals? What are we doing there?
Look, I like the Eternals a lot, but things are getting really crowded here, so let's isolate their movie kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy was in Phase 2.
Alright, next up is Hawkeye.
What do you think of Lady Hawk?
Well, Hawkeye can play out the same, except we have to explain why Yelena is trying to kill Clint. Since we swapped out that Valentina post-credit scene with the Nick Fury recruitment scene, that means we never got this.
Maybe you'd like a shot at the man responsible for your sister's death.
So instead, we'll change it to Fury being the one that tells Yelena what happened on Vormir and how Natasha died. Yelena does not take this well at first and wants Clint dead. Fury sends her to recruit Clint, and instead she tries to kill him, and things unfold pretty much like in the show. Except afterward, Yelena returns and explains to Fury that Barton says he's out, but she's brought back another Archer, and in walks Kate Bishop.
Alright, swinging in next are Peter's 1, 2, and 3 for Spider-Man No Way Home, Phase 4's first multiverse movie.
Peter!
Yeah? Oh, sorry. Did you mean?
Right, so Spider-Man No Way Home is going to stay the same, except plot twist, Peter meets the real Nick Fury. Turns out that the Forget Peter Parker spell only affected people who were on Earth, and since Fury was technically off-planet at the time, he still knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And I mean, like, of course he does. He's Nick Fury. He knows everything.
You do not ghost Nick Fury.
Here we can see Fury and Peter have a conversation about the sacrifices of being a hero, and this is when Fury opens up about his personal life. Since Fury is one of the only people who even knows who Peter Parker is, maybe he thinks it's fair that he shares a little bit about himself since Peter is so reluctant to join the team.
He's reluctant?
Yeah, I mean, Peter could explain that he's fully dedicated to being Spider-Man, but that he's done putting those he loves in danger, and that he thinks he's better off doing this superhero thing on his own because he's worried that he'll get his teammates hurt or killed. Peter is reluctant to join, but then Fury says the door to our universe is still open. Fury explains that the events of Endgame are what allowed for Strange's spell to go awry in the first place, and that while Peter successfully closed one multiversal door, if we don't stop what's coming, that door and many others will be ripped back open. So after this reveal, Peter could joke that the last time Fury came to him with the multiversal mission, it wasn't real. And then Fury says, oh yeah, that. Peter, it's time you learned about the Skrulls, making the connection to Fury and Maria Hill being Skrulls and Far From Home.
Alright, and next we've got Moon Knight.
Okay, so we're gonna have Moon Knight end with Mark being locked away in an insane asylum. We then hear a guard say to Mark that he has a visitor, and in walks
Nick Fury, we get it. He's recruiting superheroes.
Nope, not Fury. To stick with the theme of gods in the Moon Knight series, it's only fitting to have a god break him out. So in walks Loki.
Loki's had his fair share of mental breakdowns and knows all about being imprisoned. So it's only fitting that the God of Mischief would arrive to pick up their new recruit.
What did you expect?
Next up is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So, like Captain America Civil War set us up for the events of Avengers Infinity War by breaking up the Avengers and putting them in a weak position when Thanos arrived, I'm going to have Multiverse of Madness do something similar with Doctor Strange as well as Thor. Multiverse of Madness is going to pan out the same way. We're not going to reinvent the wheel here, guys. We're talking just small tweaks along the way. But we are going to do something Marvel has been failing to do in Phase 4 and even in Phase 5. We're going to tease the next movie and actually tie their stories together. When Clea approaches Doctor Strange in the post-credit scene of Multiverse of Madness, she's still going to mention the Incursion.
You caused an incursion.
But we're going to add a mention of Eternity, who we meet for the first time in the following film, Thor: Love and Thunder. The character of Eternity represents all time and space in the universe. Eternity also has the ability to manipulate space, time, matter, energy, and reality.
That sounds like a pretty important character for the multiverse saga.
Right, but there is no mention of Eternity's connection to the multiverse in Thor: Love and Thunder. They just treat Eternity like a genie who grants wishes.
We're actually going to fix that and add in a post-credit scene to Thor: Love and Thunder, where Strange and Clea are going to find Thor and say that they need him to take them to Eternity.
Yes, and they're going to catch Thor up on what's going on with the multiverse. And we're even going to hear Strange tell Thor that rumor has it that his brother Loki is involved with the multiverse unraveling, to which Thor will say, "Loki's alive?" And before Strange can answer, Thor interrupts him and says, "Actually, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's not the first time he's come back to life, or the second, or the third."
Reports of my death were greatly exaggerated.
So now, we have set up a situation where big names like Doctor Strange and Thor are off-world, focusing on an incursion.
Okay, so between Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and Thunder, we got 2 Disney Plus series, She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel. These 2 characters are crucial for our new team lineup. So let's start with She-Hulk.
Alright, so I know She-Hulk's not the most beloved series, but I personally really enjoyed it. I feel like it's one of the few MCU shows that actually felt like a TV series and not just a chopped up movie. So one change we're going to make to the ending of She-Hulk is that Bruce is still off-world come the end of the series, which means we don't have to look at this.
He's so ugly!
And then we're going to add a post-credit scene where we see Nick Fury arrive at Carmartage. Wong is still binging The Sopranos, and from the shadows we hear a voice say, "Is this the one where Tony goes after Tony B?" Wong jumps up and activates his mystical shield. "Who goes there?" he yells to the shadows, and out steps Nick Fury. Wong recognizes Fury from Tony Stark's funeral and lowers his defenses. Wong then says that he's so tired of spoilers and sits back down on the couch. Fury sits down next to him and says, "Rumor has it that you've been promoted to Sorcerer Supreme." Wong says, "Yes, and I'm very, very busy." Fury glances at the TV, then back to Wong, and then he goes on to explain that the fate of the multiverse is at stake, and that unsavory visitors from another reality have made their way into ours. Fury says that we could use some help getting them back to their proper universe and closing this tear. And Wong asks Fury why he hasn't contacted Doctor Strange, and that's when Fury reveals that he's tried, but that Strange appears to be off-world.
Off-world.
Little do they know that Strange is off dealing with another multiversal calamity of his own.
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
Wong agrees and says he'd be happy to help. Fury then warns Wong that these secret invaders could be very dangerous and that getting them to return to their universe could be a fight. Wong pauses for a moment and looks up at Fury and says, "I have a Hulk."
Wow, person, I'm like actually interested in this.
Right? Like, this is the kind of thing Marvel used to do, and man, have I missed it.
Okay, but what about Ms. Marvel? How does she play into all of this?
So as we've seen in the trailers for the Marvels, Kamala Khan, Monica Rambeau, and Carol Danvers are all connected by their light-based powers. We even got a post-credit scene teasing their upcoming film in the Ms. Marvel series.
Oh, no.
I was talking to person, but go ahead, TV guy.
Yeah, and the Marvels looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I hate to change anything about it before I see it, but for this new Avengers movie to work, we're going to need Ms. Marvel and Monica to meet up a little bit sooner. So we're swapping out this post-credit scene for a scene with Monica. Remember, Monica got recruited by Fury at the end of WandaVision. So Monica and Ms. Marvel's light-based powers being connected is what makes Monica aware of Kamala Khan. She then does some digging and discovers that Kamala has had some experience with alternate universes herself. Monica tells Fury all about Kamala, and of course, he already knows about her because, you know, he's Nick Fury.
If you want to stay ahead of me, Mr. Secretary, you need to keep both eyes open.
Fury then gives Monica the go-ahead to bring in Ms. Marvel.
I'm a superior now, so that's normal.
Okay, and we're finally here. Avengers 5, featuring the new Avengers. We open with a montage of the Skrull clan drifting through space looking for a new home. Essentially an extended version of what we will have gotten in the in-game post-credit scene. We're gonna see these alternate universe Skrulls enter a tear in space and make their way into our universe. Then we are going to see them crash land on Earth, specifically on the battleground from the Avengers in-game battle, the Battle of Earth. Keep in mind, this is where the Avengers campus once stood.
That's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
So this tear in space brought them to this specific location because this is where Tony Stark's time machine was. The time machine that caused the rip in space-time that was never fully closed. Now, once they're there, the Skrulls use their advanced tech to determine they've entered another universe. We'll then see a Skrull kneel down and touch what looks like a puddle of dried blood in the soil. He'll then begin to shapeshift, and we see the cosmic energy of Captain Marvel begin to flow through the Skrull, meaning that they have crash landed into a gold mine of powers that will give them the strength they need to take over this world.
Oh, like the harvest.
Exactly, except this time it's actually cool. We'll then get a title card that says Avengers, Invaders from the Multiverse.
Yeah, you gotta work on that title.
Yeah, the title sucks.
Okay, I'll work on it.
So then we open on a huge room with a giant table in the center, and sitting at its head is Nick Fury. To his right sits Monica Rambeau, and to his left is Yelena Belova. They're sitting in silence that is finally broken when Yelena belts out, "Are we doing this or what?"
Is that like your Russian accent? You sound like a vampire.
Thanks. Fury is silent for a moment as if he's having second thoughts. He looks at Monica, who gives him a reassuring nod, and then he says, "Bring him in." The sliding doors open and in walks Loki, Sam Wilson's Captain America, Spider-Man, Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Wong, She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel. They're all looking around at the huge room surrounded by holographic screens and technical doodads. Monica stands up and asks everyone to please take their seats because they've got a lot to go over. Loki, of course, rushes to sit at the head of the table because, well, he's still Loki.
Well, let me know if Real Power wants a magazine or something.
Spider-Man sits next to Wong and awkwardly asks if he knows who he is. Wong smiles at him and says, "Of course I know who you are. You're Spider-Man," giving us a callback to the Forget Peter Parker spell. Once everyone has taken their seats, we see that there's one empty chair remaining. Ms. Marvel raises her hand and asks if that chair is for Captain Marvel. Remember, she is a big fan. Monica abruptly says no, reminding us that her and Carol are not on good terms.
We are not talking about her, we are talking about Wanda.
Fury then interjects and says that Captain Marvel has informed him that she is on an off-world mission with Jen's cousin Bruce, Loki's brother Thor, and Wong's buddy Doctor Strange. Remember, in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, we saw this happen.
"I'm so sorry, I have to deal with this. You can get my number from Bruce. It was so nice to meet you."
Monica then says that they're missing a recruit. Wong jumps in and assures them that he should be here any second. The doors then open and enters Shang-Chi.
"Hi, Barbie!"
He apologizes for being late, and Wong shakes his head, giving us a hint the two of them have kind of become close. Fury, Monica, and Yelena then begin their brief on what's going on and why these heroes have been assembled. This will also serve as a great piece of exposition to refresh the audience as to what the hell has been going on. Fury begins by discussing his old team and what made them a team, and he says that he sees that same potential in this group. He then tells them about their new mission, starting with the dangers of shape-shifting aliens called Skrulls. We then hear a voice say from the back of the room, "Well, we're not all bad," and Talos walks in. Fury introduces Talos as their resident Skrull. Talos talks to the group about who he is and where he comes from. We then learn that the Skrulls of our universe have found a new home on the planet O259S, aka the Garden. That is the planet that Thanos retired to at the end of Infinity War. Because in Endgame, we heard Captain Marvel say the planet was completely empty and that Thanos was the only one that lived there.
It's just him.
So, after the events of Endgame, she kept her promise to find the Skrulls a home and help move them to this planet. Talos explains that he opted to stay on Earth because he enjoys working with Fury, but later we'll learn that his wife and daughter both died while on secret missions. Talos doesn't feel like he deserves to see the Skrulls' new homeworld because his wife and daughter never will.
I feel a plot twist coming.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
Anyways, before they can begin their mission, Fury instructs Monica, Yelena, and Talos to begin training the new team. Here we'll get a great montage of our heroes getting to know one another, showing off their different strengths and weaknesses, and making the audience fall in love with this new blood. Kate shows off her impressive archery skills. Moon Knight introduces his other personalities. Spider-Man exhibits great teamwork skills from his time with the Avengers and his variant selves.
"I have been in a team, okay? I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers."
And after Loki shows off some magic, we hear him complain that he should be on the bigger mission with his brother, to which Monica reminds him that he sought out Fury. Plus, the team needs Loki and his knowledge of the multiverse. Now this tickles Loki's ego and he agrees to stay. Despite their impressive skills, they fail their first few rounds of training because they just aren't used to working as a team, and some of them aren't even used to being superheroes. Fury becomes discouraged and worried that he's going to be sending his new team into their deaths. He has severe trauma from losing people like Natasha and Tony, and he blames himself for ever involving them in the first place. Monica, Yelena, and Talos then reassure Fury that they all know what they signed up for and that they wouldn't be here if they didn't want to be. They also remind Fury that they've all experienced loss and know how he feels. Fury comes back around and we make our way into the second act. Here we see the Skrulls' first major attack, and boy is it violent. This version of the Skrulls are all infused with superpowers that they got from the DNA that they found from the Battle of Earth battleground. The Avengers roll in to stop the attack, but it does not go well, and they even lose one of their own. During the battle, we'll see a building collapse and fall on Shang-Chi, killing him instantly, but when they recover his body, they discover that he was a Skrull.
Oh, that's why he was late to the meeting.
Yes, exactly. So this major defeat and reveal that Shang-Chi was a Skrull sows major distrust and doubt amongst the group. Back at headquarters, we see each of our new Avengers moping around, kicking themselves over not being able to save the day. And also, they're very skeptical of who they can trust. We then see Nick Fury enter the room with a knife, and he tells everyone to hold out their arms and stand in line. He hands the knife to Yelena and tells her to give a small cut to each of them. If the blood is red, they're fine. If it's purple, shoot them. Yelena does as instructed and starts down the line. Most comply, but we get some funny reactions along the way. Ms. Marvel cries because she doesn't like blood. Loki refuses because he's too proud. Fury then asks Loki if he wants to go back in the pod, a callback to the first Avengers movie.
Ant. Boot.
Loki then cuts his own arm with his dagger, revealing red blood. And when Yelena gets to She-Hulk, the knife breaks.
Sorry.
Now that the Skrulls can duplicate powers though, not even her bulletproof skin proves that she's not a Skrull. So she has to morph back into Jen for the test.
You are very expensive.
Once everybody is cleared, Fury retires to his office to think about what their next move should be. And then we hear a knock at the door. It's Colonel James Rhodes.
Or is it?
Ding, ding, ding. Rhodey is acting very out of character and demanding that Fury shut down this new little team of heroes that he's assembled, saying that they've already caused enough damage. As Rhodey gets up to leave the office, Fury says, "So how long?" Rhodey turns around and says, "How long what?" Fury leans forward, "How long have you been a Skrull?" And then bang! We hear a gunshot from under Fury's desk, Han Solo style. Rhodey falls to the ground and morphs into his Skrull form. Monica, Yelena, Talos, and the others come rushing into the sound of a gunshot. Fury expresses confusion because this Skrull Rhodey knew so much about their history. Talos reveals that these Skrulls must have the machines that we actually saw in the Secret Invasion series. Machines that can transfer memories. So now their mission becomes not only defeating the Skrulls and closing the tear, but finding where the Skrulls are hiding the humans that they have been replacing. So the entire battleground from Avengers Endgame has been surrounded by tall fences and government red tape after the Battle of Earth due to the high levels of radiation. It has been assumed that these radiation levels were from two Infinity Snaps happening in the same spot back to back. First was Hulk's snap to bring everybody back, and then was Tony's to destroy Thanos and his army. But really, the radiation is coming from the tear in the space-time beneath the rubble of the Avengers campus that was caused by the Time Machine. Like in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus series, Skrulls are impervious to radiation. The battleground is not only where the tear in space-time is located, but it's also where the Skrulls are keeping bodies of the real Rhodey, the real Shang-Chi, and any other humans they've replaced. So the new Avengers roll up to the rubble of what was once Avengers campus, and the battle begins. As superpower Skrulls come from underground, we get an awesome roundabout shot that perfectly mirrors this shot from the first Avengers movie. Now while the battle is going down, Fury and Talos make their way underground and find the humans the Skrulls have captured. The plan is that once the humans are evacuated, they'll use a device developed by Spider-Man, Loki, and Wong that should theoretically absorb the Skrulls back into their home universe. They theorize that since the Skrulls are from a different universe, they're made up of different atoms. They confirm this by studying the Skrull bodies of Shang-Chi and Rhodey. Now this also ties in with how and what if the Infinity Stones work differently when they were in different realities.
Every universe is different, each one just a fraction unique. Thus, the Infinity Stones are unique.
So, if they can create a device that can isolate those atoms, then they can use essentially a giant vacuum that should be able to pull the Skrulls back through the portal.
But the Skrulls were in space when they entered the portal. Won't they just get sucked into the vacuum of space and die?
This is war, Doug, but to be fair, the Avengers don't know what's on the other side of the portal. Not yet, anyways.
Oh, and I feel a moral and ethical quandary coming soon.
Now, while underground, Fury and Talos come across the Skrull children hiding under the surface. And in the mix, Talos sees a familiar face, the face of his dead daughter, Gaia. This is a younger variant of Gaia from another universe. As Talos and variant Gaia make eye contact, Gaia says, "Dad?" We then cut back to the epic battle taking place above and see a variant of Talos as part of the Skrull army fighting the Avengers. When we cut back to Fury and Talos, they learn how the Skrulls got to their universe, and that if they were sent back, they will die in the vacuum of space. Now at first, Fury brushes this off as the cost of war, but he can tell by the look on Talos' face that he isn't going to watch his daughter die again. This is when the mission changes. The plan is now to convince the Skrulls to board the ship, which they've repaired, so that when sucked back into their universe, they'll be safe inside the ship. So the battle is going down, and then we see Talos and Fury walk out onto the battlefield with little Gaia. Variant Talos sees his daughter and then his variant self, aka R. Talos. He then raises his fist, signaling for the Skrulls to stop fighting, and the Avengers do the same. Talos then explains this new plan to send them back to their universe and that they don't want any more blood spilled. Variant Talos says even if this plan to send them back were to work, they have nowhere to go in their universe. He reveals that they're starving and without a home. Our Talos looks at Fury, then to Gaia, and then back to his alternate self and reveals that there is a planet in this universe that they can go to. A planet of of Skrulls. The battle ends and the Skrulls agree to go. The film ends with the Avengers closing the portal and Talos and Fury taking their variant Skrulls to the garden. And remember, this is Talos' first time there. As he looks across the field, a tear rolls down his face. He can see his variant self as well as a variant of his wife, Soren, and of course his daughter Gaia, finally getting to have the new home that he promised them. Buddy, you okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, so anyways, Fury looks over to Talos and asks if he's going to stay on the new Skrull planet, to which Talos says no. He understands his family is gone and that a piece of him died with them. He's happy that there's a version of his family that had a happy ending, and he's happy that he can make that happen for them. But he knows that his place is now on Earth.
Hey, and speaking of Earth, to quote Marty Huggins,
things are a mess.
Fury and the Avengers just let shape-shifting lizard people off the hook without any consequences, and you know that's going to ruffle some feathers. This will set things up perfectly for President Thunderbolt Ross to rise to power in Captain America: Brave New World.
Right, but this movie also does a great job of setting up the multiverse saga as a whole, leaving the door open for far more stories to come. It is very much just a chapter 1. And I know some of you are probably already commenting like, well, what about Wakanda Forever? Don't worry, it still happens, it just comes after Avengers Secret Invasion. And maybe we could even add a post-credit scene where Shuri, as the new Black Panther, travels to the States to join this new team of Avengers. So let me know, do you think we were robbed of a Phase 4 Avengers movie? Would you have liked to have seen how this multiversal take on Secret Invasion would have happened? Or do you have something better in mind? Let me know your thoughts down below, or you can @ me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.